jiu-jitsu puts you in so many uncomfortable positions, and so such a taxing mentally and physically and emotionally sport, that I feel there's a lot of benefit to that, mentally and emotionally, that you carry with yourself after, training jiu-jitsu for a while, and how you sort of deal with just, life problems and obstacles.
I'm Justin Lesko, a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belt and former pro MMA fighter.
And I'm Mike Callahan, a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belt and a law enforcement officer. Tonight on the show, we're going to be joined by the man who's behind something that you've been hearing us talk about for a long time on the show.
Well, unless you're listening on Patreon, because everyone who listens on Patreon listens ad-free. And if you want to listen ad-free and get a ton of bonus content, the link to Patreon is below in the description.
Click the link. Do it. Do it.
But tonight we're talking to Matt from Epic Roll BJJ.
Epic Roll BJJ. Number one in your wardrobe, number one in your hearts.
We're going to ask Matt about training, running a jiu-jitsu based business during a pandemic, and balancing kids, being an entrepreneur, and still finding time to train.
And then we're going to ask him which one of us would make the best model for his next release. Not that we need to ask him that, because we all know. But anyway, we'll ask.
Yeah, I think we do know the answer to that question.
Yes. Yes, I think we do.
We can let Matt decide. Welcome to That Jiu-Jitsu Podcast. The fact that we just spent 15 minutes trying to figure out microphones is why we never will do a live version of this show. It will always be a recorded and put out version of the show. But welcome to our program.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. Yeah, when I was on Chewy's show, the same thing, and actually it was live that day on YouTube, and it was like 20 minutes where we couldn't figure out what the hell was going on. So It's like technology doesn't work when you need it to.
And I've learned that I can't ask my day job's tech guy to fix my night job's tech problems. The first thing we always ask people when they come on the show, and we'll get to Epic Roll and all that stuff, but just in general, how did you come to find jiu-jitsu, and how did you start training?
Yeah, so I started training in 2005, and I kind of just wanted I got married when I was 25. And at that point, for whatever reason, I wanted to get back into martial arts. I did Taekwondo growing up, I think like every single kid in the United States, and found it, I guess, mildly helpful. But I think around that time is when the Ultimate Fighter was coming out. And I saw kind of like a little bit about jiu-jitsu. I didn't know much about it, but I started Googling it and found a school that was in Fairfax, kind of, near my house, and decided to go check it out. I had no wrestling background. I really didn't know much about it at all. And I went and fell in love like immediately and just kept going. And that was, 16 years ago, roughly. So yeah, it was amazing. But I always say that when I started, it was such a different sport. Like the way even just that we treated people, it was not as loving and open and inviting. It was kind of like like Spartan warriors, like you make it or you don't, like, we don't give a shit whether you do or don't. It's just, this is, you kind of hang or you don't. And I kind of appreciated that coming up in that sort of like OG side of the sport, like around here. Because it made me appreciate it, but now I'm a much nicer person to everybody else who starts. So
I agree. Jiu-jitsu makes me a nicer person in the rest of my life. And I think that's kind of counterintuitive, because for a long time, my job was punching people in the face, but I think that also made me punch a lot less people in the face that I wasn't supposed to.
Well,
Come on. I'm a nice person.
Well, I mean, I have to say that. I'm vested. I have I'm vested interest in the show. I'm not going to tell people that you're a jerk off, and so yeah. Justin's the nicest guy in the world. Great. Please tune into our show.
Count it. Well, we've been talking about Epic Roll now for like, I don't know, 2 months or so.
Yeah, I think it's more than that.
How long from you started training to you were like, all right, I'm going to make a business out of this? And not even just how long, but like, what was the inspiration behind starting Epic Roll?
Yeah. So when I found out about, well, I guess right before I started Epic Roll, I started actually a women's clothing line because I had just found out about drop shipping. Right around that time, I kind of started looking into this. I was like, oh, there's this kind of, side hustle that I could, maybe have where I could resell these products. And I remember a lot of videos and people saying, it is really important, I guess, from their perspective to be passionate about what it is that you're selling, which then I see people selling like coat hangers and the most random shit, and they're making millions. And I'm like, I could get over it. I could make it. I could be happy just selling like bath toys or whatever, it's fine. But I started it as women's clothing, and I had like a very logical, I guess, in my perspective, reason behind it, like the trends and all these different aspects about it. And I did it, and I spent time getting it all up and running. And my background was in marketing and design. So I kind of put some effort into making it look professional and launched it. And it was just nothing. It was just crickets. It was like absolutely nothing. And I was going, what the hell? This is terrible. And kind of, I guess, for whatever reason around that time with different jiu-jitsu tournaments, I sort of had all of the jiu-jitsu shirts and like the Toro and like the, the Choke Republic shirts and just all the ones that were normally out there. And to me, it felt like there was still some room in that space for like a lifestyle brand. And again, my background being design and marketing, I felt like I could kind of contribute and come up with some pretty cool designs. So initially the name and Epic Roll came out, and I was going to do online videos, like a resource thing where I had videos for beginner, intermediate, advanced, not even seeing how the sports evolved to where like every guy that's like 1,000 times better than me has like 400 DVDs that they've released. So it'd be 1,000% fun. It's like, who the hell is this guy showing the most basic shit? You know what I mean? So I'm glad that didn't happen, but I came up with that name, Epic Roll, and I thought, all right, well, that's kind of cool. And I started playing around with the design and started out as intending to have, just the logo and really create ranked gear, because you're at these belts for such a long period of time. I thought it would be nice to kind of rep that a little bit and have something that people could wear out that wasn't so in your face, like a tap out or like some of these really, aggressive kind of brands, which was totally cool. But I just want something that was a little bit more run of the mill that could appeal to everybody. And so I started playing around with the designs and put it out there. And one of the beautiful parts about drop shipping is that it allows you to sort of grow a brand to see and test the waters and see, without like a ton of money being invested into that. So I could have one design on my site or 50 designs on my site, and it's going to cost me the same amount of money. So I could really be creative, put it out there, see what people like, and kind of grow, flesh out these ideas that I had in my head. And through that process, it kind of evolved to people asking, hey, do you make rash guards, and do you make gis, and do you make shorts? And I was like, I feel like I should now. And so that's kind of how it sort of just organically evolved from just this women's clothing to a full-fledged jiu-jitsu brand. And to kind of where it is now, where, we're sponsoring athletes and awesome podcasts and doing a lot of like
present
fun
company
projects.
Excluded, obviously, but obviously. Some awesome ones and some other ones.
You're making these women's clothes, and then you switch over to this, like, and you typically, when you hear of like startups of clothing brands or lifestyle brands, it's people are in tiny shops or in their garages. Like, what did that look like for you when you started this whole thing?
So initially it was just a lot of computer work, really, and design work, because before I started making rash guards and shorts and gis, those are items that are still just impossible to get made in the United States. It's just very hard. That's why Origin's like one of the only companies that does it. And they obviously charge you for that premium. So that would be amazing. But there's a reason like Show Your Roll does their stuff like right down the street from me, So
okay, yeah.
That's just the way that it is. I think I was lucky to build a relationship with somebody where I could do that and have that trust and really work well with them and kind of, keep something that's logistically kind of a nightmare and still make it work. But initially it was more design work because it was still drop shipping, right? So I wasn't really holding any inventory. I was just kind of building this brand, starting the Instagram, and then trying to leverage some of the relationships that I already had out there by just putting it out, because it wasn't a main job. It wasn't meant to be. I didn't go into it to kind of like intentionally go, I want to create a revenue stream. I'm an entrepreneur for sure, but this was sort of a passion project that sort of existed. And it was like, well, let me see if other people dig it. And let me see if they, are vibing with the designs and stuff that I'm putting out. And if they are, well, that's great, because then I can just kind of keep doing what I'm doing and sort of, organically evolve, which is kind of what it happened. So I think my wife had like a little bit of an issue with the hours that I spent, online just designing stuff. And, people don't care for like a really long time. And I think that's just something that I try to stress with all like businesses and people that are out there trying to grow these brands and trying to, accomplish things. Like I have a few of those examples just with myself personally, where it's about the perseverance. It's really about the time, like you have to just put in the effort and keep going and going and going. And eventually, if the stuff doesn't suck, eventually people will care, and eventually it happens. But it's, you're spending a lot of time on people not caring, putting out posts, and it's like 13 likes. Fantastic. Right. You know what I mean? Like I spent 25 fucking minutes on that and I got 13 likes. Great.
Yeah. Well, I get that same feeling of like, when I'm trying to do technique breakdowns after UFC cards at 3 a.m. in my living room, I'm trying to record stuff, and then you post it to YouTube and you think it's the fucking greatest breakdown ever, and it gets like 100 views, and it's like, it sucks, but you have to just keep putting that equity in, of like that sweat equity. I'm just going to keep doing it and try to make content that doesn't suck, and hopefully someone will notice. And eventually people started to notice. We're still not at Chewy's level yet, but we're trying to get there. But
we're coming for you, Chewy. We're coming.
No, we're not. No, we're not. We're friends. We're friends. This is what I said about the antagonistic, but yeah, dude, it's tough to like you said it perfect. People don't care for a long time. Like I think people look at brands and they're like, oh, Under Armour has always been amazing, but there was a time when they weren't, and it just takes that grind a little bit.
And by the way, there was no roadmap to starting a clothing brand. Like I had no idea what the hell I was doing. You know what I mean? Like at all. I mean, everything from figuring out just how Shopify works and drop shipping. I mean, I went, all in. I own the trademark for Epic Roll. Like I did, you can see I got my 2 patents in the background, and then the thing for the trademark for Epic Roll. But it was a lot of time, but I'm glad, it was because I'm also extremely passionate about it. And I was saying to a couple of my friends the other night that, it's kind of amazing to me how much jiu-jitsu has provided like such an amazing extension in my life. Like it's been one of the best resources for referrals for my real estate business. I have some of like the greatest friends out of it. The network of people, like there would be inherently no reason for me to be connecting with you guys or Chewy or Tom DeBlas or any of these people, without jiu-jitsu. And that was just something that was like a byproduct of just being in it for so long. And to me, it's such a gift to be able to take something that I am so passionate about and something I love so much and actually also turn it into a revenue source. You know what I mean?
Well, you mentioned, real estate. I don't know how it works between like Virginia and New Jersey, but there's like a warehouse across the street from me that I've been trying to get Mike to buy for us for a couple months now. I don't know if like you could facilitate that or get us a better deal, but
well, if you know anything about real estate and you know anything about New Jersey, I'll just leave it at that, because I'll never fucking buy anything in New Jersey. So let's not get started on that, because I'll have you here till midnight talking about how stupid it was that Justin moved to New Jersey. But anyway,
yeah.
So I mean, it goes without saying that the jiu-jitsu world, is specifically the training, the competition, everything was completely thrown off by this pandemic over the last year and a half. How was business impacted by that?
So surprisingly, it actually sort of grew over that period of time. And I don't know if that's just because I put kind of a heavy emphasis on the social media side and everybody was on their phone, just because what the hell else was everybody going to do? So I had a pretty substantial, like I think from the inception of Epic Roll till now, the milestones that continue to grow when you have something like this type of a business, you sort of find, like Malcolm Gladwell has a book, The Tipping Point. You sort of have these points where that it perpetuates. The more followers you have, the more people want to follow you, the more you start to get sales. And I'll get 60 to 90 to 100, new Epic Roll sales every single month. And it's just been a very organic growth over time. And that really continued over through last year. So I think it could have been better, because I did get a lot of people contacting me saying how they aren't able to train yet and their schools were closed down or they weren't still open, but now I get messages saying, hey, we're back in and I'm starting to buy gear again. And I was very fortunate, honestly. There were so many people that, brick and mortar shops that went out of business, and family generational businesses that like just won't recover. And we were really, really lucky having a established real estate team, in the area, and having our business with that, and having Epic Roll and these different, things. So I was fortunate to not be as impacted, by that.
Last summer, it was just every other episode. It was, oh, this guy had to close his school. This guy had to close his school. This guy had to close his school. And it was, I don't know how many of those have since reopened, but it was just people just trying to survive with their businesses. And it's hard to survive in jiu-jitsu when you can't train and you can't do anything. But I think you approached, like, your social media, your Instagram and stuff, it's a great follow just for jiu-jitsu stuff, not even if you were a person who was looking for merchandise or to buy stuff. And I think, I don't want to speak for you and your business, but our Instagram, I think that helped us during the pandemic, because we're able to stay in contact with people and put out some level of content when, like you said, people can't train, but they can watch content on Instagram. They can see videos, they can see pictures. And I obviously, Instagram isn't a substitute for a competitor that lost their school, but I don't know if as many people who are hobbyists would still be in jiu-jitsu now post-pandemic if Instagram and YouTube and social media didn't exist.
Yeah, well, you have to take advantage of like technology and stuff that we have now. You can look at these situations and try to find the opportunities in them, or the negative side of them, and be self-loathing and sit around and complain about shit. Or you can find an opportunity to make it work and evolve your brand, grow, pivot, figure out. It's kind of I guess that is more geared towards sort of a entrepreneur maybe mindset, because it's something that we constantly have to do. You have to have multiple sources of income. You have to constantly deal with adversity and challenges. And the nice part is jiu-jitsu puts you in so many uncomfortable positions, and so such a taxing mentally and physically and emotionally sport, that I feel there's a lot of benefit to that, mentally and emotionally, that you carry with yourself after training jiu-jitsu for a while, and how you sort of deal with just life problems and obstacles.
And it makes you not punch people in the face. But yes, it improves. I think jiu-jitsu improves your character 100%. And you can take lessons that you learn from the mat and apply them to your real life. Now, you have 2 kids?
I do.
And they both train? I saw your post the other day. They both do sports. They both do martial arts.
Yeah, I started them both when they were 5. So like with our house, one of the prerequisites was being able to put a dojo in, so I have the Epic Roll dojo, which is great. So I can work with them there. But Tyler, my oldest, he's 15. He trains with us at Silverback with the adults. So he's training with multiple brown belts and black belts. It's incredible what he, at that age, being the youngest kid in the gym, having all these adults that he's rolling with, it's phenomenal. And my youngest is at a school that a good buddy of mine who I came up with in the sport, a black belt over there, who runs that school. So he runs an awesome kids program, Alpha Jiu-Jitsu. So he's starting over there. And because there was like a little 6-month lull where he wasn't training. But yeah, I started him early, man. It was kind of like I gave him a couple of things in life. I was like, you have to speak a second language. You have to train jiu-jitsu. And I'd appreciate it if you played an instrument. And I thought that those would be sort of 3 just sort of, things that they could take and pursue and do that I felt like in my life they helped.
Do you speak a second language?
I speak a little Spanish. My wife's Hispanic. So
Okay.
let me tell you, when you travel to Mexico with a wife who speaks Spanish, you get treated so much better. Like way better. You're not the crazy gringo anymore. It's like, oh, okay, we got you, you know? So we all come back like speaking Spanglish, and
yeah.
you know, yeah, I had to, because my wife's parents would talk shit all the time, and I was like, I know what you're saying.
Right.
We all learn the bad words first. You know what I mean? We're like,
I was hoping you were going to say French, because we can talk about the Tour de France is happening right now, and Mike always loves to talk about it every episode. So I was hoping that would be your...
I would have nothing to contribute to that
conversation. I'm not fucking doing this. One more time, I'll end this call.
I think the whole month of July last year, we cut episodes short because I tried to talk about cycling, and Mike.
Are you into that? Is that a thing that you like?
Yeah,
he's a fucking nerd. He's a nerd.
I know it's the nerdiest thing in the world, but dude, I watch every stage of the tour.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Fucking nerd. So
Mike's just mad. Mike's just mad because I have amazing cardio and he's got shit cardio, and I ride the bike constantly, and that's what helps me.
I think with all the weight that you put on over the past 3 weeks, you and I are going to meet somewhere around 195 soon if I keep losing weight.
That's your like cardio thing. That's like what you do for cardio, is bike.
Yeah, I love the bike. I love to run, but the bike,
I hate running, bro. Oh my god. Dude, also my whole joints, every joint in my body is, my hands, my fingers, I can't even wear my wedding ring anymore. My LCL pops out. I have a dislocated toe currently. My elbows are fucked up. My neck is fucked up. Like, I mean, there's just like, when I run, it feels like I'm going to break. Somehow I get on the mats and bang, but like when I'm running or doing something, I'm like, there has to be a tiger behind me to motivate my ass to actually go.
Dude, years and years and years of fighting. I didn't like running when I started, but it just is such a part of what you have to do. I grew to like it, and I love to run, but it's a bigger time commitment to get out, get the miles, get back, get shower. Like the bike, I have like an indoor trainer downstairs in the basement, so I'll take my lunch break, I'll go down and I'll ride for 45 minutes to an hour. Working from home now permanently sort of helps with that, but yeah, the bike for cardio, it's just top.
It's probably I probably should do it. I just like, I get so bored. Jiu-jitsu is like literally, if I didn't do that, I like would be a fat slob, I think, you know?
So you got the real estate business, and you obviously got Epic Roll. You got kids, you know, who are training, and you're raising, obviously, and just the family life and the businesses and your training. Like, how do you find the balance? You know what I'm like? It's you got a full day every day, don't you? Right?
Yeah, and so. I have the one bottle that we're getting ready to launch, which is that product that I invented about 14 years ago, and I've been working on for 14 fucking years, bro. Like, this is the part of the things that people don't see. Like, I mean, it's great to get a nice win. I was so blessed. I got the best business partner in the world. And it's amazing, but it was just, it's so much. And yesterday was, real estate all day, going to train, coming home at midnight, and literally designing and doing stuff till 6 o'clock in the morning last night, or this morning, going to bed at 6 a.m., getting up and doing stuff. There is no balance, but I think the big thing for me is that I love what I do. I love real estate. I love Epic Roll. I love the bottle. I've put so much effort into these things that, although it's work and it's hard, I get super motivated by the interactions that I have with other people. When I hear, I get messages, people saying like Epic Roll is their favorite jiu-jitsu clothing. And I'm like, that's crazy to me. Like, I'm just like some random dude, and these people are spending like tons of money buying my stuff. It's the most humbling, and like, it's amazing. I love it. So it keeps me motivated to like keep doing these things and running this impossible schedule and doing these things, because in my mind, I'm doing all the things that most people would not do to try to make these things happen. Like I won't stop until I've kind of reached, and accomplished all the goals and things that I've kind of set out to accomplish. And luckily I get to enjoy the process along the way,
Hustle and include everything, right? Grind away at it.
That's it. I also, I appreciate I get to wake up and hang out with my kids and see them a lot. And I don't, have to check in at a certain time. And I kind, you know what I mean? You have to have self-discipline. Like, I think people, it's like entrepreneurs say we work 40 or we work 80 hours for ourselves, so we don't have to work 40 hours for somebody else. it's that mindset. Like, it's not a walk in the park. It's a lot of stress and it's a lot of hard work. But if you are, dedicated, you believe in what you're able to do. Like, if I don't fail, then I won't fail. And so if I'm okay with that, then I would never go back to being restricted, because to me, I'm trying to buy my time back. You know what I mean? Like, everything that I'm doing is to work myself into a position where I could really just get up and train jujitsu. I think that's secretly all
That's yeah. I mean,
that's why we do this show. I mean, 100%, maybe 50%. 50% is talking to people that we wouldn't get to talk to, but the other 50% is I would like jujitsu to just be my job full time forever. And
what
we
do
have
you?
our own school,
Yeah, what
and
do
we
you
do our
do for a
show,
living? Jiu-jitsu. Yeah. What
Right,
do you do?
like-
Just jiu-jitsu. Well, no, just everything about it. That's us.
Yeah.
That's our
massage
thing.
afterwards, a little chiropractic,
Yeah,
Right.
That's it.
some light yoga, whatever. Mm-hmm.
Like, we have fun doing this show. I love doing this show. And if that can get us to a point where that is our life, where doing this show is our life, like, that's the goal. So I'll stay up really late editing this episode so I can get it out by Friday, because that's what the goal is. But
Whose idea was it to start the show?
probably 100% mine. And I brought Mike along for the ride, I think.
I don't know about that, because I think the first time that we did it, it was my idea. But
I feel like I've just started another argument, like, by the nature of this.
You know what? You know what? I think that we should have our lawyers sort this out, Justin. We trained probably for 6 or 7 years together. And then I left the school that we were at, but we would still, train, separate from the academies. And then prior to this starting, we had kicked around the idea, and we did a couple Instagram lives for the UFC fights. And then we got the idea to do this. We recorded in person a few times, but the pandemic was so crazy.
I think it was one of those things where it was like, probably for 2 or 3 years, we're like, yeah, we should do a podcast. Yeah, we should. Yeah, we should do a podcast. Yeah, we should. And then when pandemic hit and we couldn't train, and we were in that same group of like, I love jiu-jitsu, I miss jiu-jitsu, I need jiu-jitsu somehow, let's talk about it. You mentioned the one bottle. For anyone who's not aware of what the one bottle is, please tell everyone what the one bottle is.
I would love to. So I feel like all my products start as other products. I guess that's like seems like that's an underlying theme, because the one bottle is a fitness bottle, but it actually started as a baby bottle. And we bottle fed our first child a lot. And if you don't know anything about bottle feeding, when you mix baby formula and water, it has a low shelf life, like 30 minutes, right? And it'll spoil. So when you have a newborn and you're waking up and having to feed this baby every 3 hours, in your bottle feeding, you either have to have formula that you make, or you have to keep it in the fridge, which then you have to heat it up. And when you're a zombie at 3 o'clock in the morning, it's a terrible process. Driving in the car, all these situations. And I remember one time where my wife was homesick. I was out with my son. I was trying to feed him. I'm spilling, like I'm scooping the formula. I spill it on his head like the fucking dad of the year. And I'm mixing, and I'm like, this is a disaster. Like, I just thought, am I an idiot, or is this like actually like a problem? And I came to the conclusion that it was actually a problem. And went home, and I was like, all right, let me, see if there's something else out there like this that would solve this problem. And there was not. And this was, 2006, 2007-ish, no, 2006. And, so I filed for the patents in 2008 to create a baby bottle that allows you to basically keep your water and your formula in one bottle separate. And when you go to feed or, mix it, there's a little chamber, and that's basically the utility patents that I have, or the technology of kind of how it keeps the upper and lower half separate. You push them, turn them in opposite directions. It allows the water and formula to mix all in one bottle. So you don't have to scoop anything in. You don't have to pour it in. And through that process, I thought, well, we should make this into a fitness bottle, because you could do the same thing with protein shakes and green smoothies and all these things. And right now you have blender bottles, right? You have like the other bottles where you have the shakers and you can put the mix in, and then you have to pour it in. It's like still a process. So this kind of consolidates that, keeps everything in one bottle. And we are hopefully a few months out from actually manufacturing it. And the beautiful part is that somehow we figured out a way to manufacture it in the US. So it's going to be made in the US, which I'm very proud of because, as you know, things in the US cost a lot more.
Right.
But it's also hard to put, faith in being overseas and something happens in the manufacturing and you have to, it's like, oh, a quick flight to China. Well, that sucks,
Right.
So
it's not the same as drop shipping. You're actually manufacturing it yourself.
It is not, exactly. So I've got, you can kind of see, I'll pull this over here. So these are basically what it'll look like. So you'll have your water bottle here, and you can kind of have 2 bottles in one. This holds 2 scoops of protein. This holds 1, but it also holds vitamins or pills. But you can see this sort of the base of it. So as you turn it, it kind of opens that up and allows everything to fall in.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm actually really stoked about it. I mean, it's kind of again, to have something that came from your head, and then it only took 14 years to put this in my hand. So we're talking about perseverance and like that whole thing. Like, again, another, shining example of there was so many people that they were like, oh, cool, you invented something. Way to go. You know what I mean? Like, right on, dudes, see on Shark Tank.
Right.
And now it's like people are like, oh, I would invest, or are you still looking for investors? Are you looking? I'm like, nah, we're all set.
Yeah, I'm all good, buddy. Thank you. I'm all good.
Yeah. But I've learned a lot in the process, and it's been very fun. And to me, again, the ability to connect with so many people is really what's fun about Epic Roll and all these relationships that we're building and these fun projects that it leads to. And so with this is kind of another one that I'm so fortunate to have some of the people between my business partner and our network of individuals that are going to really help us kind of, get it out there and, exploit that like on social media. I'm very excited because I think it's something that people are really going to enjoy and really be able to use. So it's not like I'm selling some bullshit widget. It's like an actual useful product. So,
right. Are we going to be able to get maybe an early release? Because I'm going through the newborn situation you described right now, night by night, where I'm in the nursery. He's crying, going to wake up my toddler while I'm trying to scoop little tiny things into a little tiny bottle.
Are you going to give your toddler the protein?
No, the creatine, because he's
the creatine.
he's beefy. I'm going to see how big I can get him. It's a fucking nightmare, dude. It is. So
it is.
I'm glad that this product exists.
I wish that like my kids weren't like they're going to have families before I get the fucking bottle out in the market, but at least
your grandkids,
yeah, my grandkids' kids will be able to use it. But that's what, the fitness industry is obviously a much less volatile industry. It's with babies, it's very delicate. So the goal is to, launch this, be able to build brand recognition. And then you learn a lot once you launch something. Like I spent a really long time reading every Amazon review of every bottle that I could that was relevant to this, to see what people complained about, to see if there were any adjustments and things that were consistencies that I could make an adjustment to our bottle ahead of time to kind of save ourselves some stress. And the one of the most consistent and largest complaints that I saw was actually about the base of the container and protein getting stuck like down in the corners. I guess it's like and like hard to clean out and a pain in the ass. So I made the bottom of ours concave, so there is no corners, so that'll never be a thing.
Oh, all right.
You know what I mean? So it's just kind of.
I think anyone who's ever had a shaker cup knows how much the corner sucks. Anyone who's ever mixed protein in a shaker cup knows how much the bottom corner sucks.
Right.
Yep.
So I mean, again, like silly nonsense, but had I not been reading those reviews, it like definitely wouldn't have popped in my mind to think about. And so very proud of how long we've sort of taken to evolve and develop this, and excited to definitely get out there. So you guys will definitely send you some bottles for sure.
My man, because I need it, because I'm struggling. Struggle City over here in the middle of the night.
It's rough.
I just keep going back to Justin giving this kid a fucking protein shake at 2 a.m.
He's like, this baby formula's not working. Just drink this muscle milk.
Explaining to the kid, like, do you see the concave thing at the bottom? Because the fucking kid's like 2 months old. He's like, but like I can. It's so much easier to clean now. You see what he was talking about? You know.
I'm gonna do the opposite. You see that? Do you see what I had to go through with this shaker cup with the corner that in the bottom before I got this thing, and what I had to do just for you?
You feed him like the other guy's, cup, and then you feed him this one, the one bottle, and so he has something to compare it to. Yeah, that's all.
And we're gonna film the whole thing, and we'll turn it into like a commercial.
This is how you get on Shark Tank. Just so you know, one of those terrible infomercials where the people can't do basic functions. That will be me. And that'll be your pitch to Shark Tank. No, what we'll do is we'll have Mike stand over in the corner, and the entire pitch while you're talking, he'll just be trying to clean a corner of a competitor's shaker bottle, and that'll really drive the message home of why they need to invest.
Yes, it's brilliant. I feel like I don't need a pitch deck anymore. We're good to go.
Yeah, we're good.
I want to circle back to a few jiu-jitsu things before we let you go. You have done a lot with Tom DeBlas. How did you get connected with him? So
my buddy called me one night, and he said, my buddy Philip called me and he said, "Hey, I saw Tom DeBlas posted something on Instagram saying that if you have a jiu-jitsu company, to reach out to him and he would try to help, shout it out or whatever." And at this point, the basis of all of my connections has been with just randomly, talking to people. I have a guy that I met on Instagram that's staying at my house tonight. That's how fucking weird it is. You know what I mean? I legitimately, he's a stunt guy. He's staying at my house tonight. And I met him on the documentary out in LA for McDojo Life when we were doing that documentary. But yeah, I reached out to him, sent him some of the stuff, and he liked it and he started posting about it. And at that point I kind of said, hey, maybe we could do something, a little bit more together. And that was around the time where I did the UFO design, which was awesome and went really, really well. And, we launched the Save Our Children project that we did together for the geese. So yeah, it was totally just reaching out to him. I mean, that's how, I encourage people to do that. I just came to people from a sincere place. I've had people contact me and be like, "Hey, will you work with us? We'll give you a discount to check out our stuff." And I'm like, I'm not buying any of your shit. I'm not, if you want me to review your thing, you send it to me and I'll review it, but I'm not going to buy your stuff. You know what I mean? So if I send somebody stuff for Epic Roll, to check out, I send it to them, you know what I mean? Here you go. And I would say, I'm just this guy who created this brand. I really want to get it out there. I think you would really like it. I like what you're doing, but by the way, I have no expectations. You don't have to post anything on social media. You don't have to say thank you. You don't have to do whatever. If you feel compelled and you like it and you want to post something about it, by all means, please do. But it's a very sincere place. And I think I had enough situations like that with people like Tom, with people like Chewy that, again, motivated me to keep going, because I thought if my stuff was garbage, then I think people wouldn't be posting about it. I feel like Tom and these different people just wouldn't go out of their way to post these things. You know what I mean? It would just be, cool. That's great. It wouldn't be like a mercy buy and it wouldn't be growing like it was. So now it's, in fact, I was supposed to go up and train with him the day after the 4th, but we have to now reschedule because I'm only a couple hours away. So, and now I'm being under his association. It makes it even more meaningful. It's great because we already had that, relationship. So. Oh, wait,
you're a part of his association now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yep.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I ended up going over and switching over to there. I could tell you the story quickly. Again, I don't want to shit talk anybody. This is gonna be one of those fucking parts where I go, damn it, maybe I shouldn't have said that. I'll give the loose deed.
Got him. It happens every time, Justin.
But every
time. We got him.
Since I told you that I'm with Tom DeBlass Association, I should tell you why I ended up with his association. So I actually got kicked out of the last school that I was at because of Epic Roll. You know, like, unfortunately, there are just people in life that become haters. Like, when you start to achieve any kind of success, they're not happy for you because they're frustrated with their own situation. And I don't think he thought Epic Roll would turn into anything. Nor did I ever think it was a product. Like, I thought that was what he was rooting for, like all my other, sort of friends. But as it grew, everybody in the school, the kids and the parents were wanting to wear Epic Roll stuff, and the students, and he wanted to start a gi company. He wanted to start like a thing with his, and nobody knew about that. And so this would fester, and it got to a point where, keep in mind that I had been with him for 5 years as a brown belt, helped him grow the school, like from the beginning, was his highest ranked student, ran the kids program with him, like helped him with marketing. I mean, I was there so much of my life was spent at that school helping him grow. And it was a smaller school, so I really sacrificed a lot of my own personal growth in jiu-jitsu because of that. But that was okay. I was fine doing it. And towards the end, there was like animosity. There was just resentment. There would be like the snide remarks and sarcasm and stuff that I just really was coming out like out of nowhere. And one day I got a text message that basically told me not to come back to the school and that I wasn't, needed to go. And right after that, he had I guess 2 different meetings with all the people at the school, and he literally banned Epic Roll from the school. Like, if you can't wear it at his school, all the people that bought all the Epic Roll, he's like, you can't wear it. And I was like, hey bro, are you 6? Like, that's like I stole some crayons bullshit. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I, I think what happened is the universe self-corrected, because, to be honest with you, going from that happening, it gave me the opportunity to pivot to Silverback, my school now, that's under Tom DeBlass, and my instructor, Sean Stoopman, who is hands down the best instructor I've ever worked under. His jiu-jitsu, I mean, his resume is absolutely incredible. We tell him he's like a ninja, because I've never, like, I did jiu-jitsu for 16 years. And I went to roll with him, and I was like, can't do anything. I don't understand. What's happening right now? So it was such a great person to model like your goal after, of like wanting to be at that level black belt. The support with Epic Roll, the connection with Tom DeBlass, everything got elevated from this move. It's just, I think in life, sometimes like things have to happen, like shit has to happen for, there to be a move, because in retrospect, it would have been, there had to be something drastic to get me to go to a different spot, being there because of the kids I was teaching and everything. And it bothered me for a while, but I also realized that I know who I am as a person. I have integrity, and like, you couldn't find one kid, parent, or student in there to say one bad thing about me. Like, I genuinely, try to be a good person and try to, I was really vested into that school. So it was really unfortunate. It was just sort of one of the first times that I saw somebody make such a blatant statement about like they're pissed about any success I'm getting it, because they want, they're frustrated with their own situation. And
right.
So, and he launched a gi company, by the way, at the school, like a month after. And so
how's that going?
Yeah, it's not going anywhere. It's not, well, literally it's to sell people like at his school. Like, it's literally like, that's it. There's not even a competition. It's not, he's not a designer. It's just one of those. And, I mean, I think this happens in life. So I'm not gonna, I had a lot of resentment and anger about it, but at the end of the day, I got a huge upgrade in so many things because of it. And it's such a better situation now. And I really fell in love with jiu-jitsu again. I get so excited to go and train, and I've gotten so much better just because I've been able to really be a student again, and not have to be teaching all the time. And so yeah, it was crazy. Bro, sometimes the jiu-jitsu schools, once you get higher in there, it's where things start to fizzle and personalities click and clash, and it's unfortunate, but now our school is really a collection of a bunch of people that all sort of experience similar situations with kind of certain schools in the area that have a very old school mindset. They're like, they don't like cross training. They're like, keep to yourself. And
yeah,
it's bullshit. Honestly,
Stupid.
it's so stupid.
It is bullshit.
I hate that
bullshit, and it hinders the growth of the sport. And yeah, it's crazy. It's
dumb.
crazy. People got to evolve. The mindset has to evolve. You know. Yeah,
they almost kicked out one of my buddies, a first degree black belt. They were going to kick out of the association because he went to another school to visit a friend to train. And I'm like, gee, I mean, what? Like, I go and travel and train everywhere I travel. I have the same school in Hawaii that I've been going to since I was a purple belt. Like, I love that. I go everywhere I go. I train in 3 countries last year. Like, I so to be in a place where I can't do that is ridiculous. And I think it stems from insecurities. Like, our instructor's not 100%. Insecure. He's like, you guys want to be here. You're paying you to be here. This is an environment, if people are going, then it says something about the school, right?
Who are you as a coach to say, like, you can't be friends with this person because they train at that school? You can't hang out with that guy because he trains over there. Like, you can't wear this gi because I don't like it. Or you can't wear this rash guard because I think it's stupid. No, man, that's dumb. Like,
it's so childish, bro. It takes away from the whole thing. And that's what I think a lot of these guys forget is, like, without customers, you have no business. So remember who's the boss here. Like, you got to keep that in check. And, but I think people like that, like him, it will always, his people skills and that inability to understand those kind of things will always be a limiting factor in their success. They'll never get to that next level because, they're like their own worst enemy. I mean, you can see trails, like you can see trends with people who leave wakes of broken relationships behind them. And this guy does it all the time. So I guess it shouldn't be a surprise. It's just, I kind of want to, like, make people go, hey, just so you know, I was like arguably the most important person in that gym other than the guy who owned it. And look what happened to me. So just, beware. Like,
right.
You can kiss the throne and be in that, respect the belt, environment if you want, because that's like what he does. But, I feel like they don't know what they don't know. And
sounds familiar. It's rooted in insecurity. You said it yourself, and that you hit the nail right on the head. It's rooted in insecurity, and people who are that insecure, if they're not able to, hold you down anymore, the resentment just grows, and it eventually comes to a head. And you, as the person who is essentially being resented, you're like, what the fuck am I doing here anymore? Like, why would I choose to spend my time training here?
Absolutely. Meanwhile, at my school now, our instructor wants to put a huge Epic Roll vinyl sticker on the wall above the Tom DeBlas and Silverback logo, like on the wall, like just to support, just because they're so supportive of the brand. And everybody's like, it's kind of silly because this guy is like a small town guy, and not to sound like a dick, but like, he got street cred by being associated with me. The opportunities and the network and people that I had to be able to bring to that school and introduce to him and like elevate his brand was there. That's all gone. You know what I mean? It wasn't the other. I got no benefit. Like I told Tom DeBlas like what happened, and he's like, "Who's your instructor?" And I said his name. He's like, "Nah, never heard of him." I was like, "You haven't. No, you haven't. Neither has anybody else."
Right. Well, I mean, it sounds like so far it's all worked out pretty well. So it probably was painful at the time, but where you look at where you're at now, it's probably for the best.
Absolutely, 100%.
We have like a little like secret like
we have like two secret layers
that we
Speakeasy
Jiu Jitsu. The other one is
one's my garage, but the other one we got some decent mat space. So anytime you're around or you're passing through, we're like I'm in like Southeast PA, and Justin's like 45 minutes away from me. Let us know and we'll make it happen.
Awesome.
For sure.
Yeah. Seriously. Yeah. We can get some rolls in. We could do like another episode of the show, but like in person, we can make it happen, especially now things in my life are getting back to where I can actually do shit again in the near future. So we'll for sure make it happen. For sure.
Yeah, it'd be fun because we're so close. We might as well,
Right. And even if you're down at Tom's, like if it works out schedule wise, when we come down and get demolished by Tom DeBlas, that would be cool too. That'd be good content for the gram. We get demolished.
Speak for yourself.
I feel confident speaking for you on this one.
Tom DeBlas is just beating the shit out of me with you. Dude. He's just using you to fucking beat the shit.
My instructor, this is how good he is. He's so good that Tom has him as his jiu-jitsu coach for the one fights that he's doing, for the one championships fights he's doing. He has Sean awesome. To help him get ready for it. Bro, it's fucking another level jiu-jitsu. I don't understand. He busts out whiteboards. We're doing like, series of stuff where we're just working on the back for like 3 months, and then just like the legs for like 3 months. I mean, it's incredible. It's amazing.
Matt, thanks so much for coming on the show, man.
Thanks so much, man. Great time.
We've really loved Epic Roll. We've loved working with you, and I'm glad we were finally able to sit down and chat for a little bit. If anyone is not following you because they don't like when we tell them to, where can they find you, and where can they find info about the one bottle? Where can they find all your stuff?
Yeah, so Instagram, Epic Roll BJJ, Twitter, same thing, Epic Roll BJJ, and Facebook, and then the One Bottle Company on Instagram, all spelled out, the THEONE Bottle Company, and the onebottlecompany.com. You can go on there and sign up for the mailer list to get updates on the pre-sale and when we start manufacturing.
Perfect, and I'll link to all of that in the description below. Thanks again, Matt. I appreciate it so much.
Thanks so much, guys. I appreciate you guys. Matt. Have a good night.
All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. We hope you really enjoyed this video. If you did, please remember to give it a thumbs up. And also, make sure that you're subscribed.
And if you really, 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 really like the video, check out this brand new member area down here. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you in the next one.